Hey guys, this is Pat and Heidi from Rain Country Homestead, and today we wanted to talk about natural disasters. We've been getting a couple of emails from different viewers that are concerned about the supervolcano that we are currently within the circle of influence, I guess you'd call it. Not so much as Idaho, or eastern Washington, but we're definitely in the circle of influence. As most of you know, we live in the northwest Washington, and we live around the Ring of Fire. Probably, what they're talking about as far as the supervolcano is the one that makes Yellowstone National Park so popular. Probably what we would be more concerned about would be Mount Rainier exploding, because that's all along the northwest, the Cascade region here. We have several volcanoes. So what do we do to prepare for that kind of stuff? I mean, do we up and move? Do we stick around? That's what we're here to talk about today.
So yeah, there were some people that have been concerned about us maybe living a little close to the, Yellowstone, which we're actually quite a ways away. But yeah, looking at, if you read all the things that talk about it, yeah, I mean, we would very well be affected.
And these are general concerns. I mean, it's, folks mean well by asking these questions and being concerned about us, and we appreciate that.
Right.
Justifiable, good questions, good
Right.
things to think about. And so that's where we're at on our discussion today. What do we do in the event that one of these natural disasters happens? Where's the safe place to go on planet Earth to escape all the natural mayhem, even economic mayhem that can arise, any pestilence or whatever like that might come around. But we wanted to focus today on the volcano issues and earthquake issues and tsunami issues that we have here that plague our lives and our potential worry. So,
Well, I think, I did go through a phase, and I've mentioned this before. If you check out my Our Preppers Crazy video, a lot of us go through this phase where we kind of freak out about everything. But even during that, I did look into some of the possible natural disasters that could happen here. But even during that phase, it was the natural disasters that worried me the least, because there's several ways you can look at it. I mean, I believe in doing the best you can to prepare for the worst that can happen, but there's only so much you can do, and I don't care how well prepared you are unless you have the absolute ultimate underground bunker, which most of us can't afford to do. There's really certain things that you just can't avoid, that you can never fully be prepared for.
yeah, you only have a limited amount of control over
Right.
a lot of things, and so unless you're independently wealthy, and even then, I mean, you can build a bunker in the best place on earth, and you're still not exempt from trials and tribulations, or
Yeah, absolutely.
attacks from other people, or attacks from nature, or attacks from the economy, or a collapse of of all of those things combined. So right now we are kind of living where we're at, doing what we can where we're at. We have thought strong and hard about moving to other locations, and we've done some pretty in-depth studies about where the best places to go, and we're not in the worst place. In the event that we had a close volcanic eruption, we have the easterly bound winds that will carry a lot of the ash and different things easterly, you know. And so when Mount St. Helens blew in 1980, we actually felt the earthquake effects here. Real light rumblings. It was early in the morning, but we didn't really see the effects of that ash until it actually circled the earth for the most part. We got some of that ash, a little bit of that, but a lot of it made it clear around the earth before it actually lit where we're at. Everybody suffers the ill effects of an earthquake or volcanic activity globally, depending on how close you are in proximity to that volcano and how severe that natural disaster is. So
The interesting thing about that is at the time I was living in central Washington, and it was a matter of just a few days that we had a couple inches of ash, but we were on the east side of the mountain where he was on the west side of of Mount St. Helens.
it all depends on how the wind currents are actually going at that particular time.
And we're closer to Mount Rainier than we are to Mount St. Helens, and if Mount Rainier were to blow, which is far more likely to happen than the supervolcano in Yellowstone, we'll probably see, I guess, greater effect from that, but I still don't think it's going to be as massive, for us as it's going to be for the people that live close by there, like some of our family does. So for the family that lives closer to Mount Rainier, though I think they should be as prepared as they can for any kind of disaster, I would rather see them be more prepared for the everyday things that happen, such as job loss, hospitalization due to illness, a car accident, or whatever. Those are the things that I think people should be focusing most on, because those can happen to us anytime, anywhere, no matter our social class, no matter our location. These things happen. Mm-hmm. And so what this kind of boils down to is one of the questions I wanted to answer is, would we relocate for the sake of a natural disaster scare that may happen? Where we're at, we constantly hear the scare of the big, huge earthquake that's expected. Now, I don't think it's unfounded. I believe there's actual truth in that. You have to be careful where you go, because you can go to government websites that can make you more scared, or maybe try to downplay your fears because they don't want a national panic. Mm-hmm. You can go to conspiracy theory sites that are going to totally freak you out. And I know I've been to them before, and a lot of times, such as with the supervolcano, it's constantly got activity going on, obviously, because there's always geysers, there's always stuff going on, but they actually don't predict anything big happening for at least 1,000 years. Does that mean it can't happen tomorrow? Oh, absolutely not. I mean, sure, it could happen tomorrow. But if it happens, and there's really nothing we can do to stop it. And relocating to another part of the country would simply mean exposing ourselves to other more likely events that could happen, such as hurricanes. As you all know, there's lots of hurricanes going on, and a lot of the places people say, oh, you should move here. Well, those are some of the same places that are dealing with the hurricanes. So why would I want to leave my kids behind? And the fear of a supervolcano or an earthquake that may still not happen for another 300 years to live in a place where hurricanes happen, at least yearly, or tornadoes, or other things like that, or drought, or fires.
You stop and think, there's really no place safe.
Right, and that's the point. That's
no
the point
place
of
100% safe. I mean,
right.
You've got Tornado Alley. You get the north, it's got extreme cold. You get to the south, it's got extreme heat, which, both of those climates bring on problems of their own, either short growing seasons, or if you have a long growing season, you've got all kinds of pests and different things that you have to deal with that could wipe out a crop. My simple advice is to consider where you're at, count the costs, and we're still not opposed to moving. That's most certainly still on the radar. But for right now, we need to stay put. But consider what your immediate needs are, or whether it be economic or physical or natural or whatever the case may be. Consider your threats and do the best you can to prepare for those threats. If you're in the Midwest, or you're live in Tornado Alley someplace, you're going to want to think about having a root cellar. People in the South, the same thing. If you're in an area that is subject to earthquakes, maybe you should build your buildings to a little bit more rigid standards to accommodate such an activity. Comes to food storage, if you're an earthquake prone area, build your shelves that will withstand a little bit heavier seismic activity and different things. If you're in an area that you're close to a volcano, consider what the mud flow path or the
Right.
lava flow path would be in the event of an eruption. If you're looking to move in an area that has threats of such things, maybe you should purchase land in such a way that you have a little bit of protection from that. You've got to count the cost. So that's
Right.
what always suggesting that you count the costs wherever you're at and try to do your best to prepare for those things. And when it really comes down to it, God's in control,
Right.
and you really have no power over it. But we are, in my opinion, required to be good stewards, be smart,
Right.
plan, not out of fear, but just out of wisdom. God gives you a brain to think with. And God gives you the wherewithal and the discernment to be well informed or plan for these things if you can. Do what you can with what you got.
Right. Yeah. And so I guess I wanted to approach this because, again, we really appreciate the concern. And I don't mean to sound, I hope in no way I sound like I'm belittling these concerns, because they are true concerns.
Right.
I mean, I worry about my family over there by Mount Rainier. If we were to up and relocate because of one fear, there would be other things that we'd be having to face, and it's not worth giving up what we have here right now. As Patrick said, we still keep our eyes open, we're still thinking, we're still stewing on these things. Right now there's a reason why we need to stay put. We did put the question out there, best places to homestead, a while back, and you may want to check out that video. But it didn't mean we were in a hurry to relocate. And I think some people thought that we were up and ready. No, we still have, we were hoping that maybe by this time we'd have a better idea of what our future had to hold. But we're still in a holding pattern for several reasons. So we're making the most of what we have, where we are right now. And who knows, it may be that we're going to stay here for the rest of our lives. And so we're not trying to put our lives here on hold for what might be something better somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I mean, our big thing, isn't relocating for the sake of a fear of a natural disaster. It's more looking for land for a good price with less property taxes. And we know there are places out there like that. But how much more would we be giving up to leave what we've already established here, to leave our children behind, and the future grandbabies that may come along someday down the road. And that's a big thing to me. I would like to be close to my grandchildren when they finally come along, and to my boys. I love my children. It'd be hard to move across country and know that the chances of me getting to see them would be very, very slim. But again, being prepared in every way you possibly can is important. And I think it's foolishness to live each day as if nothing bad were ever going to happen or the rapture was going to save you from any hardship whatsoever.
As if you were exempt, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, you want to make sure that if live where you're at as if you're going to live there forever. But always have your mind open to the idea of finding a better place to better yourself. And so that's kind of where we've rested.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing things around here as if I'm going to be here for the rest of my life, but would like to, you know.
Yeah, we still have that dream of
Yeah.
more property, bigger place,
Right.
somewhere a little more secluded, where you don't have neighbors all up in your face. But then again, we have really good neighbors
We
that,
do.
you know, look out for us when we look out for them. So it's not that we have issues with them. It's just sometimes you like a little more privacy. But it's a give and take, you know. Everything's got its ups and its downs.
Right. We're not taking it lightly, and
No.
we don't want to downplay anything
Certainly not.
that concerned viewers share with us.
Right.
So anyhow, thanks for your concerns, and well said, and continue to communicate with us some different things that we might not have looked at.
Oh, and please also comment below with what are the most common fears in your area that, you know,
Right.
is it earthquake, is it hurricanes, is it tsunamis? What is it that you're most likely to face in your area? Because that would be something interesting for us. Or drought, or fires, like California, or even where I grew up now, it seems like it's a common thing every summer for there to be fires, even though there weren't any when I was growing up there, my first 20 years of life. But anyway, share those with us because it would be interesting to find out more. Everybody wants to share with us the good, wonderful things about their area when they want us to move there. But it would be nice to know what are the things that you have to be most prepared for where you're at.
Well, and not just that, but also with that natural disaster, what comes with that? I.e., are you surrounded by bridges? With an earthquake,
Like us.
we would become an
We'd
island.
become an island.
If you live next to a nuclear power plant, would that be affected by a cataclysmic earthquake? If you live downstream from a dam, you know, some things like that. You know, what are your concerns about natural disasters and the effects thereof a natural disaster? So share with us your thoughts, and thanks for joining us today on our chat time.
Our chat time. Thanks for watching,
Take care.
and God bless.